Hey everyone, this is Dr. Drizzle, and welcome to the National Parks Adventure, Crossing America. So today we're in Birmingham, Alabama at the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument. A special thank you to the National Park Foundation for their collaboration on this project. And we're here with our newest ranger friend, Ranger Cat. Ranger Cat, thank you so much for having us here today.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad you're here.
Well, we are so excited about this day because this is going to encompass a lot of different things. We're at one of our newest national park sites. We're here at an iconic site. So before we do all the things and learn so much about this place, is this your first national park site, or have you been to other places?
I have. I've worked all over the country, actually. I've worked at Acadia National Park in Maine, where the lobsters outnumber people. I've worked in Everglades National Park. I've worked at Rocky Mountain National Park. And I've also worked at a small 1812 battle site in Michigan called River Raisin National Battlefield Park.
Well, we love that, except for the last one. We have worked with all of those national parks and all those rangers, so I'm sure they know you. We'll get the inside scoop a little bit later.
Sure.
But you're now in Birmingham, Alabama. Originally from Michigan, I think I detect that accent. So what brought you here? Tell us a little bit about this new monument.
Yeah, so when I was applying for permanent positions after being a seasonal for about 5 years, I was looking for a job where there would be an aspect that had a lot of meaning and purpose to me. And the stories that are commemorated here at this site really sort of tick those boxes for me. Human and civil rights is something that is incredibly important to me. And so it really has just been an honor of my career to work with people who actually marched in 1963, who have living memory of seeing Dr. King speak. So it's just been an incredible opportunity for me to interact with those people, to learn from them, and to collaborate with some incredible partners that we'll get to meet today.
Well, where are we right now? And I think this is like the one spot that the National Park Service actually owns. So tell us about this place and why we're starting here.
Yeah, so this is the A.G. Gaston Motel. The section that we're standing in front of was built in 1954 by Mr. Arthur George Gaston, and he was a local entrepreneur. He never had more than a 10th grade education, but he was able to amass a fortune that totaled many millions. And this site really represents Black excellence and resilience. It was a luxury hotel. Famous people stayed here like Aretha Franklin. It was a place where there was often music on the weekends. There was a house band called the Cool Strings Band that played here Thursday through Sunday, I believe. So it's just a place of activity and fun. And it also is where movement leaders met in 1963 to strategize how to desegregate Birmingham. So movement leaders met in the War Room, which is just above here, to strategize and make plans for how to desegregate Birmingham.
So we're excited because we're going to spend the whole day here and we're going to learn about all the different sites. Can you tell us where we're going today?
Yeah, so there are 3 churches that are affiliated with the National Monument. That's Bethel Baptist Church, St. Paul United Methodist Church, and 16th Street Baptist Church. Also within the boundary of the National Monument is Kelly Ingram Park at the Masonic Temple Building and the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. And we also collaborate really closely with the city of Birmingham.
So let's get going because we have a busy day and I want to see how this story unfolds.
Sounds good.
So we're at stop number 2 for our filming today. Tell us where we are and then introduce our guests to us.
Absolutely. We are at the historic Bethel Baptist Church, and we are joined today by 2 of my favorite people, Dr. Martha Boyer and Reverend Thomas Wilder.
Thank you so much for having us here. I'm feeling right at home. My dad is a pastor, so I feel like I need to start singing out of the hymn book in a little bit. But Thank you for having us here as we tell this story to students across the country. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll do the same for you, Reverend Wilder. And why is this an important place?
My name is Martha Boyer, and I'm a retired educator with the Jefferson County Board of Education located here in Birmingham. And I've been working here at Bethel Baptist Church since 2014 after I retired. And I really want to do this because this is a special place. It is here at Bethel Baptist Church where the modern civil rights movement, as we know it in Birmingham, started. The pastor at that time was Reverend Fred L. Shuttlesworth, and he is someone that I got to know personally. I actually had an opportunity to invite him to my home and cook dinner for him twice. And I just loved working with him and telling his story. I am so excited to be here, and the opportunity to share this story with people from around the world happens almost every day. There's always someone coming, and we're always ready to tell it.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I have this kindred spirit with you also because I am also a teacher, so I love that. And Reverend Wilder, how did you become a part of this? And then just tell us a little bit about this place.
Okay, this is the place where the modern civil rights movement started. As Dr. Boyer said, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth was the person who sort of organized everything, and he was the impetus behind a lot of the things that went on here prior to 1963. I came here because I started as pastor in 1988 and did not know, honestly, a lot about the church until I met Reverend Shuttlesworth. I kept hearing about him, and then finally met him about a year later, and then started researching him, and was really overwhelmed by the things that I saw and all that he did. We're thankful that Dr. Boyer is a part of our team, and just glad that she's here and making just a great contribution towards the history and making the history known of this church.
So this is a National Historic Site. It's on the
That is
registry, but is it also going to become something else in the future?
It is a National Historic Landmark. We are looking at being a World Heritage Site. We've been nominated for it. There's been 2 nominations, and we've been on both lists. So hopefully in the next several years, we will be a National Historic we'll be a World Heritage Site. And we will continue to invite people from across the world to come and see this place and hear the story about what happened here and about Reverend Shuttlesworth.
Now, do you still pastor in this particular building?
We do not pastor in this building. We vacated this building in 1997 and moved to the building up the street. We use this building primarily for historic tours. And then there are occasions we will have a program here with the Alabama Movement Choir or with some other organization that wants to come and observe the historicity of this building.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this, and we're excited for our students to learn more, especially about this being the beginning of the modern civil rights movement. So thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, indeed.
So we're off to our next site. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So Ranger Cat, we've had a wonderful morning, and as we can tell, we're in a different place now. So can you introduce this place and introduce us to our guests?
I'd be glad to. We are standing in St. Paul United Methodist Church, and I am so excited to introduce you to my friend and a true inspiration, Reverend Stryker.
Reverend Stryker, thank you so much for having us here today in your church where you are pastoring. So tell us a little bit about this place.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you all are here, and it's great to have Kat with us as well. St. Paul has been around since 1869. This is the first church or Christian faith community since in Birmingham, before Birmingham even started. And over time, we've moved from one spot to another, and now we are at 1500 6th Avenue North. We are upstairs, where we are now, but this was not always, the upper part was not always here. We had a bottom portion that was set in 1925, and freed African Americans or free slaves were the ones who were responsible for this entity coming into being.
You've been here twice.
That's correct.
So you came once for a couple years and then you've come back. What brought you back to this place?
Well, the bishop asked if we would love to come back, and we said, yes, we'd love to come back.
So that means you're preaching here on Sundays.
I am. This is a functioning worship space. Of course, now, because of the pandemic, we have a number of members online. And so we're in person and online.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that this has been, it's changed over time. When was the last renovation here?
Well, this upper part came in 1951, or at least was celebrated in 1951. It probably built 1949. A pastor by the name of Harry Gibson, who was the father-in-law of Dr. Lowry, Joseph Lowry, was the one who was responsible or took the lead in putting that building, this upper part up. And Reverend Lowry, who many of you know, were very close friends with Dr. King, and through the Southern Christian Leadership Conference was a founding member. He was responsible for the inside, completing the inside of this facility. So we're very proud of that.
So Ranger Cat, you're doing an amazing job of bringing us to all these places. So I think for today, we have one more that we're heading out to.
We do. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
So Ranger Cat, we've had a great day. We have visited some places that really tell a beautiful story, and I'm so glad that you chose those places for us to visit. But now we're ending our day in front of a mural that I know who this is now. So can you tell us where we are and who our guest is?
Yes. So this is a mural of Reverend Fred L. Shuttlesworth we learned about at Bethel Baptist Church. And we are standing in Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. And I am so pleased to introduce you to someone I learn from every single day, Mr. Barry McNeely.
Barry, thank you so much for having us here today. Now, I'm not going to say you look tired, but from what I understand, you're also a social studies or history teacher.
I'm a history teacher locally. I teach advanced placement United States history at Parker High School, and I'm a history professor at the University of Alabama at Birmingham.
So you are busy, and then you came here because you do work here also.
I'm the historic content expert for the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute.
Well, then you're the right person for the job. Can you tell us a little bit about this site?
The Birmingham Civil Rights Institute is the place that memorializes the struggle of the human rights and the civil rights movement from the 50s and 60s, and it stands as a place where we can learn from those lessons to chart our future.
So what do people do when they come here?
Well, it depends on your level of interest. The average person that will come here will go through the permanent exhibition, which starts in 1921, and it works its way to present day, and it takes you through a multimedia exhibition that tells the story of the development of the civil rights movement and the high points of the movement that culminated with the 1963 Children's March here in Birmingham. Your more academic or more interested visitors, authors, researchers, and people of that nature can also visit our archives, where we have a large amount of material stored from this narrative, and they can reserve time and come and visit that, and they can also learn from our voluminous oral history program, where we have set down people who were actually here in Birmingham in the 1950s and 60s, and we've taken their stories down and transcribed them. So there's quite a bit here to find.
Why did you want to work here?
I wanted to work here because I love history. I wanted to work here because my aunt was one of the 5,600 children that were arrested and treated like criminals to make the life possible that I live today. And so just to give back.
So it's your interest, and then it's, like you said, it's personal to you. So you are now telling the story, you're interpreting the story. So basically you're kind of like a ranger, a park ranger. You're telling the story here for others to see. If there were one story here that you would want to tell us, can you think of one that you could share with us?
I want to tell you about Reverend Fred Lee Shuttlesworth. In so many ways, he is the most courageous man that I've ever studied. Fred Shuttlesworth in 1961, when the Freedom Riders came to Birmingham, they were assaulted by the local Ku Klux Klan. And the Commissioner of Public Safety allowed this to happen. When it happened, Fred Shuttlesworth intervened and took those Freedom Riders to get medical attention. And after they received medical attention, he took those 6 white students and 7 black students to Bethel Baptist Church that you referenced earlier, breaking the law, because at that time it was illegal for a white person to enter a black church. But he took them there and he let them stand and testify to the community what they were doing and why they were so committed to ending segregation. Bull Connor comes to the church and threatens to arrest him, and Fred Shuttlesworth tells Bull Connor, "You're not arresting anybody today." And he turns around and he walks into the doors of Bethel Baptist Church, and Bull Connor didn't arrest anybody that day.
So a lot of stories here, a lot of testament to resilience that we've seen throughout the day here.
Certainly.
And we just really appreciate the opportunity to come and learn more. Thank you so much for having us here today.
My pleasure.
So I have to admit that last one kind of got me a little teary-eyed, thinking about how passionate Barry is, but also all of our other speakers today, to make sure that stories are still told and that they're not closed in a history book. But we also need to remember that we're part of the national parks here today, and this national monument encompasses all these amazing places. What a great job you have.
I know.
And good people. You know, we say that work is fun and the content is good, but the relationships are just magic, right?
They really are.
Well, I'm sure there are kids that ask at the end of every one of these, how can they become a park ranger, or any advice that you might have for them. So if you can look at that middle camera and just give them a little bit of advice.
I'd love to. I will default and defer to a quote that I think is really beautiful, and it has often guided me when I've needed strength and courage to walk along my path. And it comes from a man named Howard Thurman, who actually was someone who inspired Dr. King and Reverend Shuttlesworth. So definitely go look him up. But the quote goes something like this: "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive."
I love that. And again, we repeat this in every session we do, but we say that when you find your passion and then you find your purpose and they intersect, then that's where you're supposed to be. That's
love
where,
that.
and I think that's where Barry is. I think that's where our pastors have been today. I think that that's where Dr. Martha Boyer is. And I just think that's where we need to live, in that passion. What makes us tick? What makes us excited? What makes us want to be alive and change the world?
I agree. And I think that the stories that are commemorated here demonstrate that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. So anything is possible.
Anything. So kids, we just want to remind you that, as always, and we've said it multiple times today, to be kind to each other, to speak for those who may not have a voice, to be proud in what you're learning and what you're doing to help others, to be a good human. We want to thank the National Park Foundation and the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument and all of our guests today who've made it possible for us to be here. This will be our longest day filming, and we did it.
You did. You did an amazing job. Thank you.
So on behalf of Dr. Drizzle and Ranger Cat, we are out of here. Have a great day.
Bye.